Welcome to coffee. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late here. I decided like yesterday, I went and like updated my OS and all that stuff for like the yearly like Mac OS update. Even though it's not officially out yet, but it's like the release candidate build, which is probably the final build. But I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna update all my stuff. So there's always a few little like speed bumps and things like that, making sure everything's working. But I'm now running the Sonoma 14.0. Exciting times. I have a lovely new background color. Haven't been able to attend. Well, I'm. We didn't have one last week, so you didn't miss too much then. Install Arch and embrace the rolling release. I I do like. I mean, honestly, like Mac OS updates in recent years have not been very big. Like, I feel like most of their energy is going towards iPads and stuff that sells more, like iPhones and iPads and things. Um, so, I mean, Mac OS it kind of feels like this gradual rolling updates. It's not like a big thing where a ton of stuff breaks usually. Um, Speaking of Arch, though, I believe I have my new toy to show off, which I believe it's based on Arch. If I'm not mistaken, is uh, Steam OS. So I got a Steam Deck to play with to test the Linux build of the game on or whatnot. So I currently have it running desktop mode. So I believe that's Arch OS there. I got a VNC server up and running, so I can mess with my Steam Deck from my Mac here. I thought they said they based it on Arch because they wanted the rolling release model. I could be wrong, but I thought I read something there where like Steam OS Linux is at least somewhat based on Arch. Really? Oh, it's Debian. Okay. I swear I saw something. Let's Google this. Debian 8. Okay. Steam OS. Oh, this one says Arch based. I don't see. You just can't trust the internet. Who knows? Who knows what it is? Either way, though, I've not used Arch or Debian, so whatever it is, it's exciting and new for me. Uh, brr, 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 Um, but yeah, so I was playing around with the Steam Deck a little bit. I haven't actually like played any games on it. I've just been like trying to install a VNC server and things like that. So, but I got that working, so now I can just VNC into my Steam Deck. Wee Steam Deck. Brr, brr, brr. I'm down to play in a bit if you all are. Though there are a few things I wanted to go over actually. That's kind of why I didn't have it last week because there wasn't anything fun or new to show. But got a few things to show this time around. On that note, actually, I was wanting to push my latest. I'm like in the middle of messing with like the dev console stuff in the game, which I'll go into soon. But I wanted to push those builds public. Um, I just did a pub sync, is what I call them. So it should be 7 minutes ago. Okay. So yeah, if you want to play with the latest dev console work in progress, that is now up on GitHub. But I'm going to push public builds or test builds too, so I can show you how I do that. It's very exciting. I go to my Jenkins server, which currently there's stuff failing due to my Mac OS updates. Because I also updated the latest like Xcode, and so it breaks a few, like the iOS test builds and stuff are currently broken. But anyway, come down to my weird Jenkins server, and here we go. Push all servers, push all test packages. So I poke these magic little buttons, and then I wait a while, and then basically this is going through and having different machines like build the different builds, and then once that's done, pushes them all up to my server, and then they show up on the website. So it's a nice, easy process. It just takes a little bit of time. So provided this goes through, you should have new test builds in like 5 minutes. Oh no, only one submarine. This is terrible. Where have all the submarines gone? Let's see. Oh yeah, this guy out here. I mean, well, that might be a submarine there. So technically it could be two. But yeah, we don't have nobody in like the South Pacific or anything. There's usually someone like out in the middle of nowhere here. Oh, bad times. Oh well. Burp, burp, burp. So anyway, and like what I've been up to is I'm in a roundabout way, I'm working on squads mode. But this always happens where I like work on one thing, but then it's like I realize to do that I need to like do this other thing first, so I start working on that other thing, and then I'm like, oh, to do this I need to do this first. Um, so to test squads mode, I need like app modes to be working, like having the app be able to switch between app modes, because squads mode is going to be like a different app mode, and I'll go into that later. But to test that, I need a way to like flip between app modes easily, just to like test that that's working. And so I was trying to think of like how I could do that, and I came up with like basically tweaking the in-app console to make that kind of more flexible. So if you're not familiar, let's build the game here. So there's this in-app console, which is just like a really bad Python terminal. um, Actually, let me show the old one. Quit Bomb Squad. Burp, burp, burp. I think this might be... Okay, yeah. So here's the slightly older looking one. So you hit tilde or back tick or whatever. Brings down this little console here. So import... You know, you can run some basic Python code if you have a keyboard attached to your machine. It doesn't work great. Like there's... You know, you can type code, you can't actually hit like left to go back or anything. All you can do is like delete. So it's not very easy to use, but for like in a pinch, you can spit out some Python code here. Anyway, I thought like, okay, I'm just gonna like make this console do other cool stuff. Like I want to be able to use it to maybe like flip debug options on or flip between app modes or things like that. So that's kind of what I've been working on, is just like making this dev console better. Like I said, I get started on one thing and then that leads me to another. So I got off on this little tangent of making the dev console cooler. So the first part of that is I went in and just cleaned it up a little bit. Like there were some stupid things where it was drawing this text like smaller than it needed to be, so it was basically unreadable on Android, stuff like that. I also made like this text is a little bit bigger, so if you run it in small mode, let me run it in small mode. BAUI scale equals small make CMake. This should run it in like phone scale. Let's see. Forcing small UI. Oh, well, spoiler alert, here's my ugly tabs I'm working on. But also, like, this stuff is bigger, so it should look better on Android. And also, I added screen-based keyboard support, or, you know, like, being able to... You should be able to tap on this on Android, and then it'll bring up, you know, the on-screen editor with the Android keyboard and stuff like that. So, and along with that, I added a way to invoke this thing on Android. So if you go to Settings Advanced... You'll see this Show Dev Console button. So this brings up this ugly little button on the right here that you can, you know, if you have an Android device, you can tap this to toggle the Dev Console. And then the last thing that I'm working on now, which is why it's still so ugly, is these like tabs. So by default, there's a little Python console, but there will be tabs to be able to like do some other cool stuff, like mess with game settings, like graphics and stuff like that. So I'm gonna, yeah, wire up some, the main thing I needed is this app modes thing. So this will be just like, if you bring down the console, hit app modes, this will show like any app modes that are defined, so you can like test them and debug switching between them and stuff like that. But that will be coming soon. So let's see how our builds are going. Oh no! This build failed. Why did this build fail? Oh, right. It's not blessed. Okay. I forgot whenever I push something public, it has to be blessed. So let me show you how I bless it. Don't try to like hack this, everyone. Push blessing. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and hide that in case there's anything sensitive showing up. But basically, this will create like a blessed build, which means that blessed builds can play online games and stuff like that, and the server like knows about them, so or the master server, so it like allows them to, you know, submit scores and things like that. What is this? Seems like never. What is this? Into a went for iOS. Seems like never. I know it does seem like never. I'm so sorry, everyone. 2.0, version 2.0 will be iOS and Steam. That's the plan. We're on 1.8 now. Hopefully 1.8 won't be too much longer. And then 1.9 is basically getting squads mode working. And then
Good.
2.0 is squads mode for everyone. When my computer says good, that means it finished doing something I was having it do. So, okay. So I pushed the blessing to my internal repo. Now let's go back to Jenkins and try pushing these test packages again. Get those going. Yeah, I always do that. You know, like on Mac, I think like, you know, different OSs have this capability, but you can do like
Poo.
just like type. This is like the say command. So I use this all the time when like scripts and
Hello
stuff like
there.
that. Hello there. That way, like if I have something running in the background that's taking a while, I'll just have it, once it completes, I'll just have it say like good or bad if it fails. So it just kind of catches my attention. 98 years. Oh no. So yeah, I do plan to finish 2.0 before I die of old age, but you know, we'll see. I mean, I'm I realize this is episode 40, which is like it's catching up to my age. I'm, you know, speaking of old age and stuff. That's crazy. For what? When does that play? What version of the ballistic engine? What are we at? We're at let's tools p command version info. There's a little handy p command. We're at go away Mac thing. 17.28 build 21342 API 8. This reminds me, the having sounds play. Someone posted a link to I don't know who it was, some streamer that like modified a Roomba vacuum so that it screamed every time it ran into something or like cursed or shouted obscenities. It was, I mean, the video was kind of like long and drawn out, but like I thought that was a hilarious idea. Just having a Roomba like, damn. So anyway, what was I saying? So with the tab thing, yeah. Oh, still playing 1.5. 1.5 seems old now. It's weird. 1.5 used to be the new hotness. Is this a thing? Geometry Dash? Is that just like is there a joke like it's never going to be done or something like that? Is that, am I competing with Geometry Dash? Oh no, not the med pack. How are people feeling? Is that the med pack fury? Is that still there? Are people getting used to it? Are there like protests in the streets? How's everyone dealing with the green med pack situation? Got used to? Okay. Or they're just biding their time and yeah, they're pretending to be used to it. Again, I know I mentioned this when that happened, but I do always, it does seem like these things, it's always just to some degree getting used to stuff. You know, it seems like really crappy and new and different, you know, when you first see something like that. But then after a month, like your brain just adjusts and then it doesn't seem like anything. But, you know, if that's not the case, if your brain doesn't adjust and it's still like the green thing is still odd, like please let me know. But yeah, that's always tricky, especially, you know, gamers, there's that reputation for like gamers on the internet or, you know, just people on the internet in general, you know, don't take kindly to changes. You know, there's always like pushback, who moved my cheese kind of stuff. So I guess you have to take that into account or like gradually change things if you don't want everyone to like hate you all of a sudden. Biased because I love green. I like green and purple, which is also I'm pretty happy with the new OS here because it has a little purple and some green in the default background. So yeah, I'm decently happy. It was like orange for this last year, which was too sunny and happy for me. I don't like too much sun. It makes me feel like I should go outside and do something, and I'd rather be like inside doing nerdy stuff, you know? So I feel like sun can be depressing. The 13 people. I know this is always like a smallish audience. That would be super weird if the audience for this got big, though, if it was like hundreds of people or something like that, or thousands. I feel like, I mean, I know there's streamers that have like huge audiences, but like, how do you filter all the chats and stuff? That seems hard. Um, oh, mods filtering. Okay. Oh, that makes sense then. Well, I'm glad to not have that problem. So, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so I was going to talk a little bit more about this in-game console thing. Because it got me thinking, like, for one, maybe like making this scriptable or something in some simple way where you could just write a plugin to just add your own little like console tab for just random debugging stuff you want to do, or if you want to like launch your game, or like your testing stuff, you could just like make a little tab real quick that would give you some like command buttons. Um, so I was gonna like maybe go over how that could work or something here. Let me source Ballistica. But also just wanted to like show a little C++ code while I'm in here, because I feel like I do Python scripting demos decently often, but this would be kind of an interesting opportunity to just do a quick little demo of some low-level code just to show you how this stuff works. I've been kind of toying around with the graphics engine a little bit too, just while I'm in here, just to like refresh myself on how like the 2D graphics stuff works and like what I would need to clean up to like port it to Metal and Vulkan and stuff like that. So I was kind of getting my hands dirty with that stuff. Also, that's kind of why I wanted to do a little demo. Is these tabs are really ugly. They're just like really simple squares. There's no like shadowing. I feel like they're just visually not very good. So I thought maybe I'd do a demo of just like adding a drop shadow or something simple like that, just to show how like low level graphics works. So anyway, on that note, and part of the reason for that is just to back up for a second. So the dev console here is like a low level built-in part of the engine. It's in like if you're familiar with these feature sets, these are like chunks of functionality. So the dev console exists under the base feature set, which is basically just the engine itself and nothing having to do with the game or any like particular UI framework or anything like that. So that's why this isn't using like the standard, button clay looking buttons and stuff like that. It's just like drawing squares, because this part cannot be dependent on like UIV1. Because if you do like a spin-off project or something, UIV1 might not be there, but the console needs to work because this is just like low level built into the engine. So anyway, random nerd rant. Now, Ballistica base. This part is under base UI devconsole.cc. So this is just some C++ code to do the dev console. And so if you come in here, there's just like this really simple, like basic buttons defined. So like dev console button. And it's just some C++ code that you give it a position, width, height, pressed, and like a thing to call when it gets run. And then you can come down here, and you'll see the reason I actually made that first was for this exec button. So like I said, I tweaked this console so that you can, on Android, it doesn't work here on Mac, but on Android, if you tap it, you can enter using the on-screen keyboard, you can enter text, but there's no way to actually like make that text happen. So I had to add a little exec button over here. So boink. So the exec button is just the same as, hitting return on your keyboard. So anyway, this little button guy, that's what that was. And you can see down here, somewhere or other, there's like a refresh. Here we go. So this is the code where the dev console like refreshes itself. Yeah, right now all it's doing is, if the active tab is Python, it creates this little button in the back here, which runs exec. So this is all C++ code. But if you wanted to mess with this, just like right now, if you wanted to hack around on this, you could just come into here to like dev console refresh, and you could do something like, let's add a button to like app modes. So let's do if active tab equals app modes. Copying is always good, so I'm just going to copy this button up here. So in this case, I will add a button called like hello. And you can see these values are all, yeah, it's like where the button is. So it's like X, Y, width, height. And then this last thing is the little bit of code to it. Like it's a lambda code to exec when the button is pressed. So for now, I'll just do printf hello from button. Okay, so there, I've tweaked some C++ code. Now let's quit the game, rebuild that, and let's see if this works. So come to app modes. Yay, we have a button over here. So it's because I copy and pasted it, and it's in the exact same place. And you can see when I press it, it's just doing printing hello from button to the console. So anyway, that's how, like, if you wanted to, you could futz with the dev console here in C++ code. I wouldn't actually recommend doing this. Like I said, I wanted to create like a simple little way to do this in Python, so that would be way cleaner. You could just basically do that same thing from, you know, just like write a plugin that would just create a little dev console tab for you. So you could do like my stuff, and then just like throw a bunch of buttons here to do random things that you want to do. And then you can just bring that down anytime in the game and do your stuff. All right, so yeah, that is adding a random button in C++. The other thing I wanted to do is, while I'm in here, as I mentioned, I want to show just how to like create a graphic to do like a low-level C++ graphic. And so you're probably all, if you're modding the game, you're used to working with like nodes and high-level things where you're like creating a spaz node in Python or creating an image node in Python. But under the hood, that stuff is all talking to the graphics engine in C++. So like a spaz node is a C++ file that is making graphics command, or you know, making or sending graphics commands to the graphics engine, just like, hey, draw this model here, draw this hand model here, draw this other model here, like set this texture to whatever. So at the lowest level, that's, if you want to draw something like fast, that's how you do it, is just talk directly to the graphics engine in C++. So I wanted to come kind of show how that works. Maybe it'll be interesting to some of you, maybe not, but I thought it's kind of cool. So dev console draw. So this is a C++ function that gets called when the game is supposed to like draw the dev console. So like every single frame, this function will get called, and this function goes through and it draws all the little pieces. You know, it draws the background square, it draws like these buttons, it draws this text. So you know, every single frame that's on screen is this draw function getting called. So basically what I want to do is, my mission for today is I want to add like a little drop shadow kind of thing here to kind of help these buttons stand out a little bit more. Right now I feel like they just look ambiguous and they kind of like, they don't look clean. Also, they should be like, have rounded edges or something nice like that, but I will leave that for another exercise. For right now, we're just going to create a drop shadow. Oh no, is this the, just to get on the sidetrack here. He's got a flag on his head. That's cool. Well, that's a start. That's, yeah, like, you know. It's at least moving around with him. So, I mean, I hope you can see, like, where you would just take that and you would just have to do the math to, like, turn it sideways and kind of, you know, go from there. So, anyway, back to our little exercise here. So, yeah, I also, that's another thing I want to add is what's called 9 patches, which is a game dev thing. It's where you can take a little texture. Are any of you familiar with 9 patches? I'm curious, or is that too programming? But that's something where you can like make a single texture that's like a button texture, and then you can use that and basically it'll stretch it to fit your button. So if we did like a rounded rectangle, we could use it to kind of just make rounded buttons of any size, which would be super cool. So that's another little like tangent that I wanna do. But yeah, if you can probably search for that. If you do like 9 patch, it is, like I said, a app or game dev concept. This is not a very clean way to show it. What is a 9-patch image? Okay, here you can kind of see. So it's like you make a single image like this. It's called a 9-patch because there's 9 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it basically, this part will draw in the corners, this part will draw in the corners, this part, the 4 corners will draw in the corners, but these parts will get stretched. So that lets you do, you can do cool stuff like make a single image and then use it for like nice, clean, stretched buttons or, shapes. And I haven't actually, part of the reason I didn't do that for Bomb Squad is because all the buttons, they have clay textures and they're kind of, specific for the sizes. So I didn't do them with 9 patches because the thing with 9 patches is this stuff has to be able to like stretch. Or you could do something where it would like do like a pattern or something like that. But anyway, for simple things like this, like, the dev console where it's not actually, I don't mind if it doesn't have like the standard game style because it's purely for like debugging. I think a 9 patch would be kind of cool. So like I said, I'll probably implement that. But anyway, for now, that's outside of the scope of what we're doing. For now, we're just going to create this darn drop shadow. So you can see here, basically the way the graphics engine is set up is there's these little things called, let's see, just components. So basically you create a component. A graphics component is just like a set of commands that it sends to the renderer. So that's basically just saying like, hey, use this texture, use this color, use this shader, move to here and draw, go. So it's just like sending off a little instruction to the renderer. So you can see here, this is BG mesh. This is like where it's drawing the actual background. So it's like creating a simple component saying like, yes, we're transparent. I want to set the color, set the mesh to this little square mesh, and then submit. So this basically this 4 lines like draws this background purple part. Just to verify that, let's tweak it here. So let's set the color to 100 instead of 00 or instead of 0.1, and come back in here, rebuild the game. And yes, that is certainly the background. You can see it's very ugly now. So anyway, to draw little components, you just basically, like I said, you define one of these little simple components, give it a bunch of commands, and then do submit. That's basically it. So what we want to do is draw a shadow. So we're going to actually draw the shadow first. This is going to be, because normally when you draw transparent stuff, you always draw from the bottom up. So, because everything, when you draw, if you're familiar with Z buffers, I shouldn't get into Z buffers, but if you're drawing opaque things in 3D, it doesn't matter the order you draw it because it'll use the Z buffer and everything will show up like in front of or behind what it's drawing. But when you're drawing transparent stuff, you have to be careful and draw everything starting in the back towards the front because it draws it like over the top of what's already there. So because blending and all that stuff. So that means like if we're drawing a drop shadow, we need to draw that first because we want it to show up at the bottom. The camera just zoomed in on me in like a creepy way. It made it look very dramatic, what I was saying. One day its own application will properly... I mean, it's... In a way, it'll be that. Like, Ballistica Kit will kind of get more that way. Like, it's going to... Right now, Ballistica Kit is Bomb Squad, basically. Like, if I launch... This is what this is, Ballistica Kit. It's just launching straight into... Bomb Squad. But yeah, at some point Ballistica Kit will probably launch into just like a menu or something, like a empty blank gray screen or, like a grid or something like that. And then you'll have to see, maybe you would go to app modes and be like, oh, look, there's a Bomb Squad app mode. And you go into there. We'll see. It'll probably evolve to be more like an editor and less like just Bomb Squad. But at the same time, like I'm not trying to make like a super awesome like game editor and like Unity sort of thing. But we'll see what happens. It's like editing stuff that I'm putting in there is kind of like for my own benefit and hopefully for other people's benefit too. But they'll probably, I don't think it's never going to get to a point where you can like build a game through like just the editor. But yeah, we'll see. So anyway, here is my dev console draw function. Sorry, getting off on tangents as I do. So what we want to do is just add a shadow here. So I would say the first thing to do is just add a new little, let's make this even bigger, add a little component. You know, this is like the hello world type thing of just getting something drawing. So you can see this draw function, it takes frame def. This is like everything that's getting drawn in the frame. It's, you know, goes through frame def. And render pass. A render pass is like a bunch of stuff that draws in one certain place. So right now this is the front overlay, it's called. And this is stuff that just draws like flat on top of the screen. So that's where we want to draw things like the cursor or the dev console. There's also the regular overlay pass, which is where like UI draws, but we want like we want some stuff to show up over the top of that. So that's why like the dev console should always be in front of the UI. That's why it's in the overlay front pass. But anyway, so let's just define a new little component here. So I'm just going to put it in its own little scope just to keep it separate. So we'll do simple component C, and we're going to draw it in pass, which is, you can see up here, is the overlay front pass. This is where everything else is drawing. Now, to start with, we'll just do nice and simple. So let's just do like c.setTransparent true, c.setColor 1001, which will be solid red. And then probably the simplest thing to do is to draw a, let's see, we'll draw a model, which is basically, there's a particular model which is just like a 1x1 image. So it's just like, it's literally a square. It's like the vertices are like 0, 1, you know, 0, 1. So let's just draw that model. So to do that, we do c.drawMeshAsset, because that's a mesh asset, and gbase. You can like look through other drawing code here and find this code. Like you can usually copy paste this sort of stuff. So we're just gonna like draw a built-in mesh. So gbase assets, sys assets, wait, get, oh, sysmesh ID. It's always hard to like code things fresh. Like copying pasting is usually way easier. K image 1x1. Okay, there it is. I think we've done it. Okay, and then that's all we want to do with this command. So we're creating a simple component for this render pass, setting it to transparent with the color red, and then we're drawing a little square. Now let's see if this did anything. And, oh, actually, that probably did something, but it probably drew at 0, 0. And because Mac windows are rounded, it is probably drawing like a 1x1 pixel, like right in that little transparent part of the window. So that means I need to add some transform commands here. So before I do this, okay, kind of ignore what I'm doing here. Let's see. So I'm going to add like a transform. So the transform is, and I'm putting this little scope in here. So this is a scoped transform, which means like any transforms I do at this point will get undone. They'll get pushed and popped when this XF dies. So that means like any transforms I'm doing here will only be within these brackets. So that means I can do c.scale . Okay. So I'm going to do scale up by 100, and now let's try running this again. And we should, when the console draws, yay! So you can see now we have a 100 by 100 mesh drawing at 0, 0. Yay! We've made a... And it only, you can see it only draws when the console's drawing because it only runs the console draw code when the console is active. So there, it's a start of our shadow. So then at that point, you know, we want to, instead of just drawing like a red a red 1x1 mesh, we want to actually draw like a texture or something like interesting. So the next thing we would do is set a texture. So I'm going to go ahead and up here I'll do set texture asset. So this is the same as setting like a mesh, except we do it with textures. So base assets sys texture ID, and there's one called soft rect vertical. I think that will work well. Yeah, I was looking through that before. And for that, you could just go into the game's textures and take a look at which ones you want. Why is this not working? C.set. Oh. I always forget what this stuff's called. C.set texture. Okay. All right. After awkwardly futzing with code, I think I might have gotten it working. So now what we should see is, okay, so now you can see this is a soft rect vertical, which just has like a soft gradient on the bottom and top. So now instead of just flat white, it's, we're drawing a texture, which is multiplied by red. Now let's do a little bit something more. Let's just do a translate. So we'll just move that out of the corner a little bit. So X and Y are screen coordinates. There we go. So there's our little soft weird texture thing we're drawing. Now the next thing we want to do is, so if we take this thing and instead of doing it red, if we do it black, that would look kind of like a drop shadow. Just to show you, if I do 0001 for the color. Oh, this is super annoying. Like, I want to close this, but I don't want to have to hit OK. So we should fix that. Okay, so there you go. See, it's like kind of a something we could maybe use for a drop shadow. So then the last bit would be to just adjust these like translates and scales and whatever to get this thing drawing where the dev console is. And for there we have this handy little like bottom value here, which is basically the Y value for where the console is, this up and down. So let's just plug that into our translate here. So for Y, let's do bottom minus 100. So this should draw 100 units below the bottom of the console now. Okay, there we go. Our shadow is now drawing below the console. And as you can probably guess, from this point on, actually, I'm going to put this back to red just so it's easier to see. Like when I'm working on stuff like this, a lot of times if you just have like some debug color, it's kind of easier to tell where things are drawing, and then you can like move them around and then flip them to their correct color when you're done. So at this point, basically, it's just a matter of like we need to move that into the right place and scale it to like fill the screen. So let me do that real quick. So to get the screen width, you can see there's, oh yeah, to get the screen width, you can just ask like the render pass, like how wide it is. So let's just do, for X scale, instead of 100, which will scale it to 100 units, let's scale it to how big the render pass is. So pass virtual width. Oh, and if I can type, that should have worked. All right, almost done here. This demo is probably kind of boring, but it's hopefully useful. Okay, now we have like a lightsaber. That's cool. Oh, and right, yeah, this the image mesh, it scales from the center, so it's basically, so that means we need to draw it from here, not from here. So that means we need to translate to the middle of the screen. So instead of translating by 100, let's translate to pass virtual width times 0.5f. Okay, there. Our cool lightsaber is now in the middle. And we're actually almost about done here. I mean, this would just be like visual finessing. So let's scale it by a bit more because we want it to basically go all the way to the edge of the screen. I mean, you could do like more than this. Just to demo this, I'm doing like one thing at a time, but you know, normally I would just like code a few things and then test it. Okay, let's a little bit wider. You know, it's not terribly efficient to like rebuild the thing every time you tweak a value, but it's one way to do it. That would be another thing, like an interesting thing. If you wanted to make like a virtual, or you know, if we wanted to write up like a tab here, you know, we could have a tab for like value futzing, which would just give you like sliders or something, and you could like we could plug that into things, you know, just to like allow easily messing with stuff in game. I don't know, any ideas like that? If you have, let me know. Okay, so now all we have to do is, so we are doing translate to the middle and then bottom minus 100. Let's just take out this minus 100 and see what this looks like. Oh, whoops, bottom minus 0. Okay. All right, well, it looks sort of like something. Well, let's just go ahead and flip that to black and then just start messing with values here. Okay, so first off, it's way too black. Like a drop shadow should not look that dark. So let's scale it bigger. Let's do like 200, and then let's also drop the opacity to like 1/10. So that's the alpha value on this color here. Okay, that was too much, I think. Let's try 1.3. Let's go way up, 0.7. It's still like, I'd like it to be like black at the top, but then, you know, fade pretty quickly. Ooh, too much. So the problem here is this image, it basically stays black, 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 and then fades. So I think what that means is I want to scale it up a little bit more. Let's do 300, but then move it up a little bit more. So this is kind of a hack, but it's like, we just want to get that like blurry edge. And so you see at this point, it's basically just all like futzing with numbers and moving things around and seeing what looks good. Sorry, I'm ignoring the chat for a moment, but almost done. Close. A little too dark, though. Yeah, let's grow it a bit more. Raise it just a bit more. It's a bit annoying to have to just like futz with numbers for positioning things, but it gets the job done. Getting close, I think. Let's move that up a tiny bit more. Yeah, I almost wonder if I would need like a separate shadow for the like for the buttons. I feel like the shadow looks okay here, but it still looks like not shadowed enough down there. Go back to that. Okay, well, maybe I will drop the opacity and call it a day. Let's see how that looks. I don't want to, I could just like finesse knobs for like an hour here, but that would be a very boring YouTube video. Well, anyway, you can kind of see overall, you know, now we have like a decent little drop shadow. You know, kind of helps this stuff stand out, makes it look a little bit more like the dev console is floating above everything else. So I'm decently happy with that. Like I said, we do need like rounded corners or something to make these buttons look cleaner. I was thinking maybe at some point I'd like to get like other font options in here aside from just the default one, because then, you know, maybe the dev console could have like a fixed width font, which would look nicer for Python. But anyway, that's all stuff for another day. The one last thing I should mention, though, is what I just did is really inefficient, just from a graphics perspective. So I'm going to temporarily turn this back on to drawing as red. This might not be enough. Let's see. So we can see... I can't really tell here. So I'm going to take this whole component that we just drew, and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to go down to after the background draws, and then I'm going to draw it here. So you'll see this is going to draw, it's going to flip the order, so it's drawing our shadow like above the background. And so you can see here is kind of the problem, is this looks decent, but it is drawing a huge shadow. It's like wastefully drawing like half of this screen, which is not, this is like behind the, you know, the console anyway, so we would not want to see that. So to fix this, you know, even though this is a bit of a hack, it's okay. Like, it looks okay down here. But to fix this, we would want to like set a clipping plane. And so as part of the draw commands, I won't go into this now because I don't actually remember how to do it. I'd have to look at stuff. But you could basically tell the draw, or tell the renderer to like clip to a rectangle. So like anything outside of, say, this rectangle, don't draw that. So even though we're telling it to draw this giant 1x1 plane, which is stretched, it would only wind up drawing like the part down here. So that would be like the last thing to kind of finish this off. So I'm gonna just leave this ugly in red right now so that I remember to do that after Coffee with Eric is done, and then I'll push this live. So, but anyway, I hope that was useful, just kind of showing a little bit of how this stuff works. So this is just like the low-level C++ stuff. So if you wanted to, you know, you could come down here and I'm going to show like app modes and things soon, which is basically that'll let you like create an entirely different little experience. So if you wanted to make an app mode and then just write like low-level C++ code and just do like a weird sprite-based 2D action game or something, you know, that wouldn't be too hard to do. Not that I would recommend using, you know, Ballistica for that. That's not like its strength is like sprite-based games or anything like that, but you know, technically it could be done. Okay, all right, now, enough coding. Live coding is done for the day. There seems to be lots of stuff asking my attention. Okay, Erin, yeah, I will take one last look at it, at your account stuff. It's, it might honestly be something that I can't dedicate the time to go digging for it, but I'll take a last look. If I can find it in the, if I can easily get at it with the info you sent me, I'll try to do that, but I'm not super optimistic. So yeah, again, I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, I apologize. I do feel bad when, you know, people ask for help, like, oh, can you unlink this account that I only have this name for it or something like that, where it's like technically I know it still exists somewhere. It's just a matter of like, it would take you know, hours of digging through the database or writing custom code to try to find it or something. So my default mode of operation is, you know, I try to make stuff not break for people in the future and, you know, make stuff work as well as I can and not lose accounts and things. But in terms of like digging for individual accounts, I'm kind of limited on the time I can spend on that. So I'll take one more look, but yeah, apologies in advance if I can't get your old account back. Stream on 1080p. Oh, is this like bogging down your connection? I probably could do that. I mean, I think the resolution I'm running at is, well, it's probably like 2 or 3K. I don't know exactly what it is. It's the the native res of the laptop, which I think is like 2800. Anyone else running into that? Like, would everyone else prefer I do lower res streams? I'll still capture full res for YouTube. Oh shoot. Okay. It's 1440. Okay. All right. Next time, how about I'll do 1080p next time, and we'll see how that works for people. If anyone complains about like not being able to see code or something like that, but I try to keep code big anyway. Do 4K. 4K, like my this. Well, technically I'm on a 5K screen, but it's mirroring my 2.8K screen. So, but yeah, we might as well. At some point, I dropped it like it was it 120 hertz? I dropped it to 60, or no, I dropped it to 30. It was doing 60 hertz streaming, but now we're doing 30. So let's try again. Next time we can try 30 at 1080p. Hopefully that'll be the sweet spot for people. Oh, can you switch? I guess we can try that here. Oh, we can. All right, let's do it. Let's go crazy. All right. And we've switched. Has the world ended? Are you all still here? Did anyone even notice that? Cool. Lagging a bit. It might be, maybe it has to like take a minute and catch back up or rejigger things or something. But that's cool. Highest res, out of curiosity. Yeah, let's see. Source. I'd be curious. I mean, technically this is like a greater than 4K monitor, so I don't know if that would actually attempt to stream at that full res, but I kind of don't want to press that button and like end the world. Okay, well, how about this? I'll do 1080p by default, because anything that can like cut down on bandwidth is probably good. But yeah, if I'm coding or like if anything is blurry to people at any point, like please tell me and I will crank it up. Now that I see that it's so easy to do, like that's nice and easy. So yay. All right, I want to go back and switch on or check on my my stuff. Oh no, my push failed again. Make Mac. Oh no. See, this is the bad thing about like I said, I updated Xcode and did like my yearly OS updates last night, and I haven't actually tested all this stuff. So there's probably random things failing. Oh, a required agreement is missing or has expired. Okay, so I need to go into Xcode and hit like OK on something, and then I should be able to generate Mac disk files or whatever it is. Yeah, the disk images. So what is this? Mer. Let's see. Will I buy the new iPhone 15? Probably. I probably shouldn't. I really don't need it, but that's one like it's one of my few like splurges as a game developer is like having the shiniest new hardware to kind of play with. Even though the game is not still out on iOS, but I can still kind of like my excuse for getting it is the new GPU has like ray tracing capabilities, so it would be fun to play with that just to see how that works. I know I've toyed with the idea of like, wouldn't it be cool to write an alternate renderer that was just ray traced? So I could play around with that idea a little bit, potentially with the hopes of having a mobile version that's ray traced at some point. Um, but see, that's like I come up with little excuses like that to like that's my toy that I buy for myself once a year, or something. Not always every year, but I usually give my old phone to like my dad or my family or whatever. So it it's another excuse to like buy more new phones than I need. All right, Irfan, I will try to take a look. There's, yeah, I won't go into it too much. I think I mentioned before. There's some weird stuff with Google Play IDs where like Google switches the ID, and so like it's not to blame it on Google or anything like that, but I will. I'll take a look and see if I can see anything wonky. But yeah, ray tracing would be super fun. Be fun to play with at least. There might be some like minimal amount where like if you can just do a little bit of ray tracing, like maybe just around the characters or something, just to have like nice clean shadows everywhere. That would be super cool. Might not be super expensive. It wouldn't have to like ray trace the entire scene. All right, good night, Aaron. It does feel, when I do run on a PC, it does feel a little like sad that it is, like woefully underusing the GPU. It's like a desktop PC or something, where it's got, battery life is not a concern, and it's got a crazy GPU that can do like a bajillion times more than what we're pushing at it. So it would be fun to just have like a ridiculous mode that just takes advantage of some of that, or just maybe this is something I would do when I revisit, finally get out on Steam, is just cranking up like maximum debris counts and things like that to where, just explosions are more explodey on the PC version or on the desktop version, or just have an option everywhere maybe. I mean, mobile hardware is getting to the point where it can do, at least high end mobile hardware can do like crazy amounts of stuff. Yeah, there's some weird timing issues sometimes with the Mac stuff. It's something I need to take a look at, see if I can get that working better. Like this one is, yeah, it's running 120 hertz, even though this monitor is technically 60 because it's mirroring my 120 hertz monitor. So it's like, yeah, there's just there's some weird timing issues sometimes that come into play. Wait, which is there? Whoops. Mer. Oh, candidate announcement leak. Oh, sure. On a side note, Bamian, if you're playing on Mac, are you playing on the latest test builds, or are you playing on the old like App Store 1.4 version? Ooh. Because yeah, there's latest test builds which are at least more up to date. Like the Mac App Store version is still woefully out of date. I keep meaning to update it, but I keep getting I keep not updating it. But if you go to ballistica.net, you can grab the latest test version, which is up to date, 1.7.2 whatever. App Store. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the App Store probably has other weird issues. But yeah, I'd be curious if the test build works better or worse, or if it's still weird for you. Form of Hangman. Okay, everyone, throw out suggestions. How about an A? All right. Oh yeah, we'll do. Okay. Well, what could that first word be? Over crocheted? Over. I think I know what it is. Yay! Yeah, at first I was thinking like overcooked. Over. Yeah, I thought overcooked at first. Over something. Over. Cool, cool. Nice. Very cool. So yeah, I looking forward to seeing more. Yeah, I'm curious. How's it going, or like, what's the state, or how? Yeah, when we'll be able to check it out or play some. It is cool to see like talking about like classic mods and stuff. It's it's like what's there's classic mods. It's like when I mentioned this before, but when people say like, "Oh, your game defined my childhood," or not that, but just like, "Oh, I loved playing your game when I was young," it makes me feel like, "Oh, the game's that old. There's classic stuff for it." Well, I guess there is. I mean, there's a whole classic feature set, so I'm using that word myself a lot. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, have you tried like account? Or actually, I'm not sure if because there's the weird situation where like the Game Center is like a V1 account login type. I need to get that updated for V2, so I really just need to get the game updated. I apologize. I mean, it would be possible to like link that to another V1 account and then link that to a V2 account, but that's just like, ugh, that's just getting ridiculous. The one kind of the thing that is sort of well, it hasn't really kept me from updating it, but I need to figure out how to do like server side verification because for the V2 accounts, I'm trying to be like super strict and make sure that it's not possible to sign in without server side verification, basically like checking with the server to make sure like, hey, is this person who they say they are? And when you log in with like a V2 Google Play login, I'm talking to Google every time and being like, hey, is this person who they say they are? Like, is this their account? And then if they say yes, then it logs you in. So it should be pretty secure. It's not like V1 accounts where if you hack some stuff in the right way, the server will be just like, oh, okay, I guess you're who you say you are. So I really want to. I got to figure out how to do that with Game Center. So for Mac and then for the future iOS stuff, so that it verifies stuff in the same way. Um, that's on my to do list. But yeah, I'm just trying to be like very strict in V2 era. Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to see. rapid fail. What? Nice. Yeah, I'm for it. we yeah, keep me posted. In general, like when any of you folks have stuff to show or like we can play at an office hours or something, let me know. I know we mentioned last week because I didn't have anything to show really. That's why I kind of called it off. I was trying to just get some stuff done. Um, so it's like if we're having an off week, but you have like a cool mod pack or something, we can, I can make it an on week. I figured this doesn't have to be like super strict. But in general, like in normal dev times, like now, it might just be I might just do like a every other week sort of thing if I don't have a ton of stuff to show. So it could be slightly likely that we won't have one next week. But if you do have stuff ready to go, like I said, give me a holler and we'll have office hours or have a coffee with Eric. So yeah, some Eon playtest that would be super cool. That'd be fun. I'm hoping to catch up from the back end, like get some squad stuff in place that you can all start playing with, so we could do stuff, for Eon type play modes or RPG type stuff that we could be able to organize little, I don't know, competitive tournaments or something like that. Yeah, Sock, have you mentioned like is Eon? Have you shown like much stuff for that publicly yet? I love the fists like those. I'll keep that. Oops. Let's see if I can. I'll do something like. Well, I'll just leave it full. Super cool. So many Jack Morgan noises. There's got to be some like mid-sized way to do this here. Well, whatever. But anyway, yeah, very cool stuff. It would be fun to. I keep thinking about, what I want to support with squads mode is like scriptable tournament situations where people can like join a league or something like that, and then your script can like place them into matches and things like that. So it'd be super cool to, I don't know, have a big giant match of a bunch of people like playing like an RPG type game, and then the winners of each round go on to face the winners of the previous rounds, and it's almost like just kind of a tournament type thing, or almost like a battle royale, but not like everyone in the same place. Just like I don't know. It could be cool in RPG situations, like the winner gets to upgrade their stuff or something like that, and then take on the next team and who's upgraded their stuff in different ways, or who knows. Or just more like a classic MOBA sort of thing where you know it's just one long game and everyone starts at the same level, or who knows. A lot of fun ideas that would be fun to play with though. But yeah, those are some fun little powers. I love the little the I love looks like that with like just the giant fists or something. It's just like a very noticeable thing. I feel like stuff like that is good in games where it's like, oh, this guy's got the big fists. He's clearly going to punch me very hard. Yeah, so super hyped to yeah, check that out as it's coming along. That is an interesting point, like talking about community friendly development. Like, I mean, I'm trying to do that more, just working towards 2.0 in general. Like, I want to, as squads mode comes online, I'd love to make it like available for everyone to like mod immediately. So I want to treat myself as like just another modder. But it's interesting. I don't know. It brings up questions. Like what are the upsides and downsides of community based development, and like what are the there's good parts and bad parts to like taking everyone's opinion into account or something. Like you don't want to get that like too many cooks in the kitchen effect where like when you if you listen to everybody you get a muddy version of that doesn't satisfy anyone fully. So it's like there can be things to avoid too, but I think it is good to just have such a good big set of feedback to take into account. Yeah, I think that's an important thing. Is yeah, you got to be prepared to pick and choose the feedback you want, and also just have like a vision that you want to stick to. Like if you should be your own kind of harshest client. I'm wanting it. So for this, yeah, I mean, again, I can take a look at the send info. I can't promise anything. Yeah, I will. I'll take a look. But yeah, again, it might be. I mean, I've heard of a handful of people like, losing stuff when they upgrade. I'll see if I can look into it. What? Someone asking for my attention? So there might be something. There is something I need to look into with. I think Google Play. They're switching out their IDs again or something. I just need to see if that can cause problems for people. I mean, that maybe that's what that account ran into. But I wish they wouldn't do that. Um, so it's like when I look up info on an account, there's like some people have like two different account IDs, which is like their old Google Play account ID, and then their new one, which is like their gamer ID, which are like two different numbers. And now they're like switching it again for some reason. So now there might be three different account IDs for people. It's like, come on, Google, pick something and stick with it. Eric and this. Ah. Well, I well maybe are you referring to during my like demo? I feel like I'm that totally happens if I'm giving a demo. Like I can't like keep up with chat and like focus on any sort of like coding at the same time. So I go into like Twilight, my own little like Twilight Zone mode, and I apologize if I just disappear into that for 15 minutes at a time. But it's all for the sake of the demo. There's probably a fine art to that, but I know like I get off on tangents too. Like if I read something, even if it's completely unrelated to what I'm showing, I'll just like go start talking about that, and then I'll forget what I was doing. So it's I don't know. I'm doing it for you. I'm trying to keep this a bit more, on topic, or So if you want to watch the demo, you can actually watch the demo and not have to like skip a bunch of tangents. That's a cool drawing. Nice. I like it. Oh no, I've burned through all your data, even with 1080p mode. So, see ya. Marrying when? Yeah, we need a backstory. Is Zoe married? I don't know. Oh no. Um, opinion on allowing spin-offs. Did I miss this too? When was this? Oh, allowing Android spin-offs to build for Android if they don't require any of the closed source component. Oh, that's actually that could be a decent idea. I will give that some thought because on one hand, I would love to. Oh, let me scroll down. Oh, jump to present. Okay, fine. I'll use the button. Yeah, that could be workable. Or even having the like it might be safe even if I do make Plus available for Android, like pre-compile Plus the same way as I do for like Windows and Linux currently. Like as long as it has some protections built in to where people can't. Yeah, I guess like the thing I want to avoid is basically people taking that stuff and just releasing a copy of the game that has like ads stripped out and like their own ad network added in, and basically just kind of like using that for nefarious purposes, or hacking servers or things like that. Um, but yeah, like shipping it without Plus, that would probably be totally fine. It's just like people who want to use the engine to make like a whatever else. Like I'm all in favor of that. Um, so maybe yeah, maybe I could do that sooner rather than later. Get that up and running. Just like really basic, being able to just like create a basic app or basic Android app, even if it's not like full Bomb Squad. Because I would like the engine to be useful for that kind of stuff or for other things or whatever. So that's a good point. Maybe I can do that sooner, and then just like release Plus at some later time, like once the networking stuff is in a more safe place. Merp. Uh oh. Let's see what this is. I am not language support. Oh, this is yes. Part of this goes back to my like doing something so I can do something so I can do something. What I want to do is I had this really hacky setup when I was getting language support and initially for Android and iOS. Like I had this weird like hacked in screen where it would like draw text and like boxes, and I was trying to debug stuff. But I think I ripped that all out at some point. So I need to put that back, but I would like to do that. That would be a perfect thing for an app mode. It's basically just like, hey, this is like text debug app mode. It's just like going to draw a screen with some text on it so I can implement proper text drawing on other platforms. Um, yeah, that's why, which is why that I'm trying to get the tabs in there so I can switch app modes. So that's kind of goes back to the thing I was showing earlier, which is well, my ugly red, but this button here. So once this button is functional, which should be hopefully in a day or two, we'll have a set of app modes here, and then we can create an app mode for like debugging text drawing, which should make it easy to then implement text drawing for like Windows and Linux. So then hopefully we can finally close that stupid bug, which I apologize for. On that note, if anyone, I don't know, wants to poke around, I need to figure out like how in C++ to draw arbitrary text to a texture, basically. So I'm curious if like Godot or another engine is doing exactly that already. If there's like some code I could look at for reference, or I mean, I guess we're probably the same license, right? It's like the MIT or BSD or something like that. Um, I'm just wondering if there's something where there's code out there we could grab or just use as a reference to get started. But basically, that's what it has to do. Is like the game has to be able to just draw, like ask Windows or ask Linux or ask whatever like the text library is. Like, hey, draw this text. It contains some Chinese characters and some emojis and whatever else, but like draw it into this texture. because that's what's happening. So we just need to know how to do that on Linux and on Windows, and then we can implement it there. Or if there's a library that would work for both, but I'm guessing maybe doing it separately might work better. So estimate when it'll be fully fixed. It's not a high priority. It's one of those things where I'm guessing it'd be like a day or two of work, maybe. So at some point I might just like tackle it, but it's on my like overall priority list. I would probably put it. I mean, it's definitely something I need before 2.0 because 2.0 means shipping on PC and Linux. Well, or yeah, shipping on Steam, which is PC and Linux. So I need it for that. CNV2 is also needed for that. So it's kind of like, it's not really higher or lower priority. It's just like another thing. What? What is all this Mel sound stuff? Yeah, I didn't hear any Mel sounds. I wanna hear a Mel sound. Wait, you can't hear it? What? Wait, you can't hear that? You have to hear that because it's the sound is in the same air as my voice. Wait, are you all serious? Like you wait. All right, see ya for reals. Wait, Bomb Squad platformer spin-off makes sense. That could be fun. Um, yeah, it'd be fun for I don't know, like V2, scene V2, or future gameplay stuff. It's to like generalize things where there's right now for the scene V1, all the existing gameplay. There's a very specific mode. There's like Happy Thoughts mode, where it like flips things into 2D mode basically. But that could be cool to like go further with that. Make that more generalized. Just something where it's like a 2D mode that's still kind of physicsy and stuff. Same characters, similar dynamics and all, but you could just kind of do more zany stuff with it. Um, so yeah, I know people have like hacked stuff like that into the game. Even just using what's the little bits that are there now. But it'd be cool to have more tools to work with. That'd be cool. Same mechanics as Bomb Squad training courses. So yeah, so many ideas that are that we need to try. Why are there too few hours in the day? I get all excited about this stuff, just like reading these ideas or just. I mean, I love working on the game for that reason. It's just like I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, oh yeah, I got to try this. Need to get this in place so I can try this. And it's always this like infinite, like I was saying, this infinite stack of like things I need to do so that I can do this, so that I can do this. So at the end of the day, it's always like wanting to do something like this, like like a platformer that you could play with your friends and stuff. But then it's like, oh, to do that, I should do like squads mode so you can get your friends together. But to do that, I need to, and then I also need to like spin off, like different gameplay versions, so like Scene V2, so we don't break all the old stuff. And so it's all these like huge, never-ending list of dependencies. But the end result is like waking up in the morning and being super excited to just like do fun stuff like that, like make a goofy 2D platformer. Bomb Squad MOBA. But it does. I mean, one thing I'm trying to think of is like I'm doing all this kind of high level restructuring. I'm building squads mode and stuff like that. Is I'm trying to think of, like grouping things. You may have seen just the bare minimum showed up. It's under currently it's under the BA common. Where is that? Is it cloud? Oh no, it's app. BA common.app. So I just started defining this like high level thing, which is a value that's passed on like between all my servers and the game and whatever else too. So it's just like basically a high level app experience. And I'm calling it melee for now, but this is like traditional bomb squad, which is just like you're looking down at a world, you have controllers, that's the experience. Like 8 people controlling stuff on one screen, playing on a TV or a, phone or anything else. But it's like up to 8 people in one little arena. So like that's the gameplay experience. But I'm hoping to like maybe expand this out to, maybe there'd be another one which is like VR centric or AR centric or designed for touchscreens, where it's like a one-handed vertical playable game, almost like Clash Royale style or something. So that's something I'm thinking about is just like how to take Bomb Squad and the engine and the overall experience and just like adapt it for different play styles that people would be able to like use the same mods and the same characters and stuff, just like adapt them for those styles. That could be fun. So anyway, random tangent. Yeah, again, API 8. If you don't need API 8 yet, it would probably be a lot of work for not much gain at the moment. Over time, there will be stuff that will be worth the work, but there's not a ton yet. That's always the case where it's like I break a bunch of stuff and I make a new update and I feel bad for breaking stuff for people, but then like hopefully it pays off in the end because the new stuff that it enables is like worth it over time. It's like the 1.4 to 1.5 jump. It's like everyone had to rewrite like all their code. I felt bad about that, but it's like it put us in a better place at the end of the day. So I thank you for bearing with me. But I'm trying to. I do have hope for like once stuff is moving more to squads mode and cloud-based stuff, that hopefully it'll be possible to kind of divide things into, what I'm tentatively calling like APIs or something like that, to where like if you're coding, against an older API like the Scene v1, like that stuff will still work, but then you can also opt to code in Scene v2 or whatever, so we can like kind of keep these older keep older scripts and older mods and older gameplay tweaks, like keep those working in a better way. Because I'm always trying to think of ways that I can stop breaking stuff for people, but there will always be some breakage, so I apologize. Like there's one thing, a little thing I started doing recently. If anyone's using the API 8 stuff, like the latest stuff, is if you come under like the app class. So source, assets, data, Python, BA base, app. Okay. So app you get at, it's like, BA base.app or BA scene v1.app or BA UI v1.app. It's all this like app, which is like the high level app class for the game. So this just, tells you lots of stuff like the game state, like it's loading, running, paused, which means like you've backgrounded the Android app or whatever. So high level stuff. But anyway, recently I'm stripping out a bunch of stuff, which is all these properties. Yeah. So like build number, device name. There used to be like app.build number, app.device name, app.config file path. And these have all been moved under like an env object. So what I did recently is I started using this like Python warnings module, which basically it's kind of cool. Like the first time you access this, or it'll call this function, which will basically print a warning for you one time. So it'll just say like, hey, don't use build number anymore. Use app.env.build number. And so I plan to just like keep this stuff in here for a little while with warnings and then eventually strip this stuff out. So maybe a few versions from now or something. So I'm not doing like an API update. I'm not like forcing everyone to like tweak their plugins and increment the API version, but I'm seeing if something like this will work decently for just like gently making changes to the app and like evolving things without like breaking the world. So let me know if that works well for you folks, or if things are still breaking too much or whatever. But yeah, I am the spin-off stuff. I am pretty excited about the spin-off stuff. I would like to see kind of what people can come up with there. Like I said, I wrote spin-off just for myself because I want to be able to, build Bomb Squad with this stuff and also build other things like build the remote app with this stuff or build, like I said, these other games like an AR version of Bomb Squad or whatever, or non-Bomb Squad stuff, just, any goofy thing. Um, but yeah, so I think, spin-off should be fun for just being able to like, if you want to hack around on your own C++ drawing code, now that I showed you how, and then like release that for Android, you should be able to do that. I miss Bastard. We all miss Bastard. It was such a fun name. Bastard. I still, anytime I'm doing, I keep trying to just import BA. Like it's still, it's locked in my memory. Like it's like BA is no more. I can't get used to it. The one thing I have started doing, I'm wondering if this will become a thing, at least for me, maybe even in the code. So as you know, oh god, that's so ugly. I can't bear to look at that. That's so in most gameplay code these days, I'm doing like import BA scene v1 as BS, or import BA UI v1 as BUI. What I've started doing, just when I'm hacking around, is import BA base as BB. So, and then you do like bb.quit, or like I'm kind of liking the BB thing, so I'm wondering if I should make that like an unofficial, when you're using BA base, like just import it as BB. Oh god, I did it again. That also makes me wonder, like when you're working with the in-game console here, like should it, right now you have to import everything explicitly. Like I'm wondering if at some point I'd like to maybe like do that for you or tell you, I don't know, like, hey, it looks like you're in a scene v1 gameplay situation. You should use scene v1, or just something where it's like a little bit more intuitive, like what you should do to do anything here. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Because it used to be, there's just one module, literally. It was always just, originally it was just import BS, and then everything's under BS. But now it's like there's starting to be the different ones for different feature sets. Not that people are doing too much from the terminal itself here, but like if you did want to mess with stuff, it'd be cool to like know what to do. So anyway, that one version that stops the game. There was more than that one version. There was like, I know you were teasing me in the channel about my shutdown code breaking everything. But yeah, I like broke it like 3 different times in slightly different ways. And then I like fixed it, but I didn't realize that the fixed version was like had an uninitialized variable. So even though it was fixed, it was only fixed in like some builds. So yeah, that was a bit ugly. I apologize. At least I didn't release that one publicly to like all Android people. That would have been a lot worse. But it should be behaving now, all the shutdown stuff. So let me know if not. But I think it will. I think it is. Well, on that note, I'm winding down and running out of things to talk about for this week. So I might get back to coding and everything. Anyone else have any last topics, thoughts, complaints, professions, plans for your week? I don't know. So we can kind of play it by ear next week. Like I said, if anyone of you, if you have stuff to show, we're gonna do some playing or whatever. I'm totally down for that. Otherwise, we'll see like if I have new stuff to show. Yeah, well, I'll just play it by ear whether we'll have a coffee with Eric next week or if it'll be in 2 weeks. But oh, that's cool. That's another thing for Scene V2 or yeah, at some point in the future, like revising the lobby would be super neat. Like I like that you have bigger icons here. Like I mean, most games have that, like when you have like a versus screen or something, you see like giant icons or giant images for one team on the left and the same for the team on the right. It'd just be a lot more, especially if we start to have like different variations you can get of characters and stuff, just to be able to like show off your cool variations. So yeah, looking forward to seeing more. Cool, cool, cool. All right, everyone. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up then. And everyone have a good week. And I will talk to all you folks next time. So, peace out.